You're listening to the Money Mike syndicated radio show. We're going to keep you up to date and current in all sports. We'll make sure you're aware of everything in corporate and enterprise business. And most of all, we'll share with you how to make a little more money as we cover the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. All colleges, and you stay tuned for the Money Mike syndicated radio podcast. Greetings, everyone. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. I had an opportunity to catch Aaron Rodgers on the I Can Fly podcast. And folks, he kind of went into some detail, and it's very interesting with him now. And as I would say to Aaron, welcome to New York, the New York media, the most brutal media you ever find. They're doing their best to trip him up. But to the New York media, I just really want to share with you, this guy's super smart. It's going to be kind of hard to trip him up because he's already so far ahead in the plan. He's thinking into the future.
And I didn't realize you've been playing golf your whole life. They said you guys been playing together since high school nearly.
Yeah, we had a sweet deal growing up at the local Muni Bidwell Park golf course. It was $4 for a junior rate. So if you're under 18,
Nice.
You could play all day for $4. So in the summers, we'd go out like 6 in the morning and get 36 in by like noon, and then go jump in the swimming holes and mess around the rest of the day. But we loved playing golf. So there was like 4 of us that played a bunch. Jordan was usually my partner. So we had some great victories and some arguments after some L's over the years. But I met him when I was 14. So been one of my oldest friends. And then Matt was a year younger, but I've known Matt since, around the same time. So it was pretty cool.
And independent thinking, and he's talking about his plant medicine, what he does to self-heal himself. And a lot of people come around and they will say, well, you're crazy, or all his thoughts and meditations, everything he does. One thing I'll say about Aaron, if I always told you, between him, his father being a chiropractor, he talks a little bit about his mom later on in the interview. This is I Can Fly podcast. I mean, it's a great interview. But the thing that I do know about Aaron is he's self-healing. He can read a book. He's highly intelligent. I thought he could have been an orthopedic surgeon. And he's very connected in his body. So take a listen as he explains on the plant medicine what it does for him.
To tell someone what ayahuasca was and what it does for you to someone who didn't know what it was, what would you say? What do you say?
I mean, I've gotten some shit over the years for really correcting people when they say drug and reminding them plant.
Exactly.
It's obviously, 2 plants that come together to allow your body to break down and the DMT. Drugs are substances that are associated with addiction to me, and plants or fungi are not. I have a deep reverence, again, no judgment, but my preference in doing medicine is in a ceremony setting, just because I want to do it to grow, to expand, to learn, to listen, to surrender. And every journey is different. We always, I've heard it said, I've said it, the medicine gives you exactly what you need. And
when you say medicine, we're not talking about
I'm talking about ayahuasca. Plant medicine.
Yeah.
The plant medicine gives you exactly what you need.
Yeah.
There's a consciousness to it that, like you said, sometimes the last night of this most recent ceremony, I drank the least amount of of the other 3 ceremonies. The other 2 ceremonies, or the third ceremony, I drank the least and had the most visions, the most incredible experience. And I think there's a lot of, stereotypes and myths that need to be busted around it. I think it's always important to not, I'm not recommending people do it. I think that's a line you have to draw. Like when the medicine calls you, then listen and lean in. But
And then next package, he gets into a little bit deeper as far as the spiritual belief, what his past experience was in church, what questions and how he looked at it from his perspective. And he's went through life with unanswered questions, but he's actually willing to share a little bit from what his belief standpoint is and how it works for him. Now, of course, everything he does won't work for everybody, and he's just one of the one of the men that has achieved great accomplishments, and he's decided to go the opposite way, and that's Aaron Rodgers. So take a listen.
My interest was kind of spiked growing up in the church with one specific verse from the Bible, as I paraphrase, but it was talking about that the battle is not between flesh and blood, but basically there's an unseen world that we're battling against. And I always thought, what do you mean? What's the unseen world? How do I see that? And enamored by some of the interesting things that happened in the Bible. That was my reference growing up. The burning bush, obviously, ascension, into heaven by Jesus, his resurrection, all these different miracles. I've just always loved sci-fi movies. I believe in magic. I believe in miracles. I believe in manifestation. Didn't quite have the words to put that into perspective or to make it make any sense to me or anybody else for a long time, but I was interested in what the other side was. And I had a very magical psilocybin experience on a beach in Malibu, where I just kind of merged with with nature, and had a conversation not with a rock, but with the ocean.
Wow.
And it was the most beautiful tears of joy that I'd ever experienced, of just pure euphoric connection to the universe, to nature, to all things.
Oneness.
Oneness, yeah. And then Jordan, who's here with us, he went down to Temple of the Way of Light in Colombia and did ayahuasca. Did, I think, 5 or 6 ceremonies and came back, and we were playing golf. And he told me all about it. And I said, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And
When was that?
that was in 2019. He did it, and I did it in 2020 in March. And the rest is history.
Yeah. A couple good football seasons that followed that.
Yeah, a couple MVPs.
And folks, this is absolutely just an incredible interview. And in the next segment, he kind of opens up a little bit about some of the fears he had, how he had a fear of death in the younger ages, and how everything aligned just perfectly for him. And he really, really understands. If he looked back at it, how did it all happen? And you got him coming out of high school, really no offer, small school offer, and then all of a sudden he goes over to Butte College, things pick up, and he's talking about football. He talks a little bit of interview about Jeff Tedford being one of the most smartest coaches, and that up at Oregon was the offensive coordinator, played under Mike Bellotti, who coached me at Chico State. So all this aligned for him, and he's talking about predestiny of how my life took a turn, and if any one of these turns did not happen, he wouldn't be where he is today. Take a listen.
What? All right. So what did you learn? What did you take from it that would you say it helped your football career?
Yeah, I mean, I had a really a strong fear of death for most of my childhood. Anybody around my age, I was born in 1983, knows how strange it was to be a teenager when Y2K was coming. And how I grew up, Y2K was probably a bigger deal. It just seemed to be, there was a lot of people in our sphere who thought the world was going to end in 2000. And so I had a major fear of the world ending, some sort of death coming, and not being able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in this life, because I felt like that my destiny was to, be an NFL player and use that as a platform to do a bunch of awesome stuff. And I just said, I can't do that if I'm 16 years old and the world ends in Y2K. So I had this irrational fear of death that kind of stuck with me for a long time. And in this first ceremony, grandmother just took it away. Just took it away by breaking the veil between this world and the unseen world for me, which was allowing me to get an impartation, a blessing in the form of a prayer, of laying of hands on by what my intuition, my gnosis, told me was my ancestors. who surrounded me in the Maloka, tiny little Maloka, like it's the size of this room probably, but it was filled up by just 100 people that I recognized by sight. I couldn't tell you this was my great uncle, this was so and so, but there was a knowing as I looked at their faces that we have some sort of blood connection. You know, we are. You are my ancestors, and they did this beautiful laying of hands on where I felt 100 different hands on my body, just imparting this energetic prayer for safety, for protection, for guidance, for self-love, for trust, for surrender, for all these different things. And I came out of there going, okay, this life has a purpose. My life matters, and this is not the end. This is just another step in the journey. Life, as we know it, death, as we know it and talk about it, is just another step in the journey. So that was kind of my first entrance into plant medicine, and it grew from there. And there was beautiful, really rough ceremonies in the preceding years. But yeah, that was kind of the first lesson I learned.
The next part, Aaron really says something really interesting, folks. He talks about perfection, and he talks about the fact of those who are perfectionists are broken, and broken because you're never going to be able to achieve the greatness that you are striving to achieve. And he kind of lays it out, and he lays it out in a fashion to let you know that you can go through many peaks and valleys, depression, just whenever you're not perfect. And you know, it's really interesting. The first time I've seen him just open up about his life, what's going on, how's he doing it. So take a listen at this piece as he opens up.
And I've been a perfectionist most of my life, and it's helped me in a lot of ways in my sport, for sure. Yeah. This striving for greatness. However, what I've learned in the last few years is that at the core of a perfectionist, most of us don't actually even understand this, but we are making a conscious statement, unconscious, subconscious statement about ourselves that we are broken. Because if we're constantly trying to face perfection and we haven't achieved that in our mind, something is wrong with us, so we're broken. So we go through life with a usually unrealized, stigma attached to us. It's dogmatic that something is missing. And to live life like that is a really desolate place. And that's where depression can come on, and self-loathing and negative self-talk. So that's one thing I've really tried to eliminate is how can I be as gentle as possible, as if I'm talking to myself as if it's my best friend. Mm-hmm. And they have a million chances to mess up. Because I think with our best friends, we say, you know what, they're just trying to do their best. You know, they got a good heart. That's why they're our best friend. And if they mess up, probably wasn't intentional. They're probably just doing their best, and they'll probably do it better the next time. So how do I give that unconditional love back to myself, which in turn eliminates the fears, eliminates the insecurities, and allows me to just surrender to the moment and be present. And the more we're present, the more we listen to the whispers of the universe, and we see her speaking and guiding us in so many ways. And I joked with you just a second ago at dinner, I don't believe in coincidences. So much had to happen for things to be, even for me to be right here.
Right, yeah.
One thing changed from the first time I reached out to you to now, and this wouldn't be the conversation. You know, there might be some different semblance of this at a different time, but not here, not right now, not in this moment. And I think there's a lot of beauty in just that. We talked also about a situation in 2021 where we played the Niners in COVID year, and we had a late comeback. I hit Devontae on a couple deep ones after they had scored and left us 37 seconds. Mason drills a 51-yard field goal to win the game. And after the game, I just watched Moneyball that day, bored in the hotel room. One of my favorite movies with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, and there's an incredible line of about perspective in the movie that says, how can you not be romantic about baseball? And I just sat with that line the entire day, and just contemplated what was he actually saying? What was Jonah saying in that moment? What was Brad saying in that moment? And what it comes down to is that your perspective informs your reality, and your reality becomes your truth. And so what we focus on becomes our reality, and that becomes the tenets of what we believe to be true about ourselves, about the world we live in, about our loved ones. So if we focus on the right things, we can change our entire life and manifest the wildest dreams that we possibly can have. And for so long, I fought against just the idea that that football was my identity. But in fact, it's been the greatest love story for me since I was a kid, growing up, listening to games on the radio, listening to John Madden and Pat Summerall on Sunday mornings, watching the Super Bowl from my living room, carpet, dreaming of being Joe Montana. And yeah, I'm a football player and I love it. And how can you not be romantic about football when so much of what I've been given and the opportunities and the platform has come from throwing a ball?
And folks, as I said, just an outstanding interview. And to New York, to the Jets fans, you're going to be in for a special treat. Him and Nathaniel Hackett, they're going to give him the freedom. And him and Hackett got a great relationship. For the first time, this is going to be like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. He's going to run his own show. And I'm telling you, folks, I've watched this thing just about all the way through from end to end. And I've seen where he's had an opportunity. He's battled back and forth, even Mike McCartney. I mean, you're coming over here. He battered LaFleur. And now him and Hackett, they finally have connected. And this has been a plan they put together. And to the Jets fans, you're going to really see something really good, really exciting. And it's going to be a show. And it's just, like I told you, it's going to be like Broadway Joe, where you got Broadway Aaron. And to the New York media, saddle in, buckle up, because you're not going to trip him up. He's already ahead of the game, and he knows what he's going to accomplish. And for every word that's spoken to him, to everyone that speaks about him in a different faction, he's going to come back and remind you of that later on. But at the end of the day, this is the best of the best, Aaron Rodgers. There's one target on his mind, that's Tom Brady, and he's got freedom. Hackett's going to let him call his game. It's the first time in his career he's been able to do it, and it's going to be exciting. So all I can tell you after that is go Jets, Jets, Jets. You're about to see a show in New York. You're listening to the Money Mike syndicated radio show. We're going to keep you up to date and current in all sports. We'll make sure you're aware of everything in corporate and enterprise business. And most of all, we'll share with you how to make a little more money as we cover the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. All colleges, and you stay tuned for the Money Mike syndicated radio podcast.